So I did grade the test, and it was a nice surprise for lots of you. The test was actually a good test for a lot of people. Okay, so not for everybody, but a lot of people at least passed the test. That test was better than test number one for sure. I hope it's it is like a trend. I hope it's going to be even better for test number three. I hope it's going to be even better for the final exam. But that test was a good test if you consider the average or if you consider the median or something like that. Okay, so.
Sorry, I just joined because my connection was glitching again.
Uh-huh.
But I had a question. So I don't know if you answered this already, but I was looking at the final, the review for
Yes.
the final. Are there going to be like 83 questions?
No, no,
Because
no, no, not at all.
you most definitely gave me a heart attack with all of
No, at all. So at all. So this is the review for the final exam that I posted on Brightspace is a general review that you even can find in the CCBC website. You go to CCBC website. It is a very, very exhaustive list of problems. Basically, it tells you, if you wanna review, here we are. You have a lot of material to review. Okay, but the final exam will be about 20 questions. That's it.
Oh, okay.
The
I
only thing
saw
with the
that
final
the 83.
exam
Yeah,
is
I
going
saw
to
all those
touch.
83 questions, and I was
No, no, no. It's going to be
confused.
the final exam will be about 20 questions, right? About 20 questions. The only things about the final exam is going to touch every single topic, every single chapter. So now, for instance, how many of you remember exactly the addition method for systems, right? You see, you will see that on the final exam. So that is very important to refresh memories, right? That is why I have posted the review. If you want to play around with the problems, try to refresh your memories with chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, etc., etc. Because remember, chapter 1, chapter 2, that was like 2 months ago, right? So that was 2 months ago. So we have to go back to that, how to graph a line, what is the slope of the line, what is the slope intercept of an equation, etc., etc. Those stuff you have to remember them for the final exam. But the final in itself, the final exam, as much as I know, is never hard. The questions are never hard. The only hard about the questions is the memory. Do I remember this topic that was done 2 months ago? How much do I remember about it? That's the only thing with the final exam. Other than that, the final exam will not be harder than the test we did. Okay? If you look at the topics, it will not be harder. If you look at the question, they will not be harder than the test we did. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and continue. See, remember last time factoring, we saw facts. Now a few comments about. So next time you don't repeat that. A few comments about that is when we say factoring, right? When you say factor the GCF, actually you have to factor the GCF, right? So for instance, when somebody asks you this right here, if it's a 9x squared plus 3x, somebody asks you to factor the GCF, right? If he says the GCF is 3x, that is not factoring. You haven't factored yet, right? You see, unfortunately, some of you gave me that, more than one student. Some students gave me that, and then you lose points. When you say factor the GCF, we indicate to you the method. The method we want you to do is a GCF. But then once you got the GCF, you have to do something with it, right? You see, so you don't stop right here. And next, if you do this, if you do 3x, because you divide by 3x, you divide by 3x, we say 3x plus 1.
Are you showing us something? Because I don't see anything.
You don't see that? Okay, so let me share then. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Okay, I was sharing first. Okay, thank you. Thank you for reminding. So
There you go.
you see, if you say GCF here on the right side, you say 3x, and then you stop there. You haven't factored yet. You see, that is not factoring. That is just finding the GCF. If it was find the GCF, and you say GCF is 3x, then okay, you have found the GCF. But when you say factor the GCF, you have to do the factoring. I was saying, okay, let's say you see the GCF. Some people stop right here. When you stop right here, maybe if your GCF is right, I give you like 1 point or 2, maybe because your GCF is right, okay? And next, some other people did 3x plus 1. You see, that is wrong. That is a wrong factoring right here. What is missing? Who can tell me what is missing?
The power.
You see, when you divide by 3x, you divide by 9x squared by 3x, you get 3x. You divide 3x by 3, you get 1, right? If you do this, your final answer. Why your answer is wrong? What is missing?
Parentheses.
Okay,
if I put parentheses, what is still missing?
The X.
The 3x in front of
the 3x, exactly, the GCF in front, right? Okay. So when we say that, when we say that, I guess, people, the first thing in math we have to learn, I think, which is very important, how my answer should look like. Even if it is incorrect, your answer should have the right shape. It can be incorrect, but it should have the right stuff. You see, for instance, I'll give an example. I am grading. I have factor the GCF, right? I see this stuff right here, 25, x cubed minus, 5x. Okay, I see two answers. Student number 1 tells me 5x squared minus 1. That is student number 1. The student number 2 tells me 5x times 4x minus 1, right? Okay. You see, when I'm grading, these students did not even show me the right format of the answer. You see how long I'm going to stay on this one grading? Not even a second. This stuff doesn't have the right form. You see, student number 1, because I'm expecting something that does not look like this. I don't see no GCF. I don't see no multiplication, basically. Factoring means you have to write whatever you have as a multiplication. When you look at student number 1, I even don't see no multiplication. I just see a subtraction, right? You see, these students, I don't spend even a second checking the answer. I say this answer is wrong because it doesn't have the right format. You see, this one right here, it has the right format. Then I will go inside to check if everything is correct, right? It has the right format. I see the GCF, I see parentheses, I see something inside. This one has a chance to be right. When I go inside, I see there's a mistake. I see this should be 5x squared, right? You see, but at least this one has the right format, okay? So you will see on the final exam probably the same question, factor the GCF, right? It's going to be on the final example. So now, this section, a little bit of the section, right? It says strategies for factoring. We're just going to comment on that, and then we're going to do the next stuff. What do we call that? That is, I think, in the textbook is 4 point something. It's 4.5. A general a general factoring strategy. 4.5, they call that a general factoring strategy, right? Okay, they tell you that if the question is just a factor, if you don't have the indication of the method, sometimes the question includes the method. When you say factor the GCF, you know you have to factor the GCF. When you say factor by grouping, you know you have to factor by grouping. But when you say factor only, just factor, then you have to look what to do yourself, right? By yourself. Okay, in 082, at first, every time we have to factor, what we check first? If there is no hint, nothing, just a factor, always check the GCF first. Right? Okay, unless there is an indication of the method. When you say factor by grouping, then you can go ahead and group and do the grouping directly. But if you say just factor, you have to check the GCF always first, always. Okay, after we check the GCF, after that, it depends how many terms we have. If you have only 2 terms, if I have to factor only 2 terms, after I'm done with the GCF, after I did the GCF, can you tell me what we can think about if you have to factor 2 terms, something with only 2 terms? What could come to my mind? Especially if I see squares in it. What could come to my mind? If I have to factor, I see only 2 terms. And then I did the GCF first, you know, I'm done with the GCF. What can come to my mind? The difference of 2 squares, right? You see, that could come to my mind. So if you have only 2 terms, think about a squared minus b squared. Think about a squared minus b squared, okay? For instance, example, I see this, somebody asked me factor, you see factor, no hint, just factor 12x squared, okay, minus 75, right? Somebody asked me to factor this, okay? No hint at all. The fact I only see 2 terms, right? And then I see square, will make me think about difference of 2 squares, right? A squared minus b squared. It's going to make me think about that. But before I go there, again, what I have to check first? The
GCF.
GCF. Let me check if there is a GCF that I can factor, I do it. If there is no GCF that I can factor, then you know, hopefully it is like, you know, but here, I know 12 is not a perfect square, right? I know 75 is not a perfect square, you see? I see that, so I check the GCF first. What is the GCF of these 2 terms? What do you think? How much is the GCF?
1.
3.
Is it 1?
3.
One is always a CF. You see, GCF, you have what? You have greatest for the G, common for the C, factor for the F. 1 will always be a CF. 1 always be a common factor, always.
3.
But is 1 the GCF? I don't think so. You said 3, right?
3.
3 is a GCF, right? So you see here, what I do? First, I do GCF, which is going to be 3, parentheses, how much left? 4x squared
X squared.
minus 25, right? I divided everybody by 3, okay? You see now I look at my parentheses. Now I have 2 terms, right? I have no hint. Somebody just asked me to factor. Since I have 2 terms, my mind goes to where? My mind goes to a squared minus b squared. at least I have to give it a chance. You see? I remember last week we did something like that. Okay? 4x squared, is it a perfect square?
Yeah.
It is a square of what? It's a square of 2x, right? And 25, is it a perfect square? Square of 5, right? Okay. Now, after I realize this is a difference of 2 squares, now how I proceed? What's going to be my last answer? Somebody tells me. How's this one factors out?
4x squared.
It's going to be 2x. No, it's 2x. You see? I mean, don't forget that. We did the last week. 2x plus 5 and 2x minus 5, right?
Okay.
It was even in the test, right? That was even in the test. You see now, do you realize why the final exam, some people say the final exam is tough. Do you realize it? You know why? Because when we unfocus on a topic, we have tendency to forget about it. It's just like that. Every time we unfocus on a topic, we forget about it, okay? So don't forget about that. 4x squared minus 25 is a plus b, a minus b. Remember that we did that last time, right? Okay. So now this is when it is 2 terms. When it is 3 terms, now, if you have 3 terms, think about what? After the GCF. After I did the GCF, if I have 3 terms, think about x squared plus bx plus c, right? Think about that. Give it a chance, okay? If you have 3 terms. For instance, if somebody asks me factor x squared, you see, okay, let me do x cubed minus 2x squared, right? Minus 15x. Again, what I'm going to check first and foremost?
The GCF.
The GCF. What is the GCF here?
I didn't do it yet.
What is the GCF here?
X.
X, thank you. So I do x, that's the GCF, x. Parentheses, I divide everybody by x, I get x squared minus 2x minus 15, right? All right, so now I see I have 3 terms. And they look like trinomials where the leading factor is 1, right? Do you recall how we used to factor something like that, the parentheses? Do you recall how to factor that? Everybody? Do you recall what we did last time?
X,
And then?
minus and plus.
What are the 2 numbers?
-5.
Yeah.
And? Okay, so thank you very much. So you looked for 2 numbers, they add up to how much? They must add up to what number?
-2.
They must add up to -2. And they must multiply to
-15.
15. Everybody don't forget that. These are simple questions when it comes to steps. They are not complicated because they all are 1-step problem. But when comes the test day, the test time, if you don't recall that, there is no other way you can do it. If you do recall that, it becomes like the easiest problem ever. But if you don't recall that, then there is no way you can do this. If you just recall, I'm looking for 2 numbers, they must add up to -2, they must multiply to -15, and you just go look for them. I bet you're gonna like spend like 2 seconds and then you're gonna find them, okay? And somebody just told me -5 and +3, right? I don't forget what? The x, right? That is, if you have 2 terms, we think about a squared minus b squared. I'm not saying this one always gonna work, but at least we give it a chance. If you have 3 terms in OED2, we think about this. If you have 4 terms now, what method we think about if you have 4 terms? You think about what method? We think about factoring by
Poly.
Yeah.
grouping. After the GCF, if you have 4 terms left, at least you can think about factoring by grouping. Think about that, right? Again, we don't say it's going to work. We don't say that. We're not saying it's going to work, but at least we can try, right? Okay, so this is a section they call strategy for, for factoring. Okay, so how your question is going to look like? Look, just like test number 2. Your question is going to look like just like test number 2. What I mean by that is this. I mean by that, if this is test number 2, where is it? So let me share test number 2. Okay, if you have this, to test number 2. That is test number 2, right? Your question about this section will look exactly like this. You see, factors of GCF. Here we have a clear indication of the method. Factors of GCF. That was the method, right? Okay. Factor by grouping. Here also you have a clear indication of the method. Okay, factor by grouping. But you can have this, and you can have this. You can have 12 factor x squared minus 81. Do you see any method here? There's no method here, right? So you have to think here. You have to decide by yourself which way am I going to go. You have to decide by yourself because there is no method here. You see? So 1 month from now, if you see that on the final exam, or a couple of weeks from now, if you see that on the test, you have to realize, oh, okay, this is a squared minus b squared, right? So you have to come to that conclusion yourself. Or you see that, you see number 13. You see factor, right? 8x squared minus 50. You see that yourself, right? You see, here also, there is no indication of what you have to do. There is no indication. You have to decide by yourself. You have to say, okay, what am I going to do first, right? You see, you have to check the GCF, and then after that, you have to do something, etc., etc. Okay? But pretty much, we have seen all the factoring method. We have seen factor by GCF. We have seen by grouping. We have seen when the leading coefficient of the trinomial is 1, and we have seen the difference of 2 squares, right? These are the only cases of factoring in 082. Of course, now in math, in general, in math, we have a lot of factoring stuff, a lot, not only like a couple of stuff, we have a lot. But in 082, only 4 methods: factoring the GCF, factoring by grouping, factoring difference of 2 squares, and then factoring a trinomial when the degree is 1. Just before we go now, I'm going to give you 4 problems, and you're going to do them, everybody. This is going to recapitulate. It's going to tell you how ready we are for factoring. You see, factor. First, I say factor GCF. That is the first one. Second, factor by grouping. Third, factor number 4. And number 5, all right, you have 4 problems or 5 problems. They recapitulate exactly everything we did in this chapter. If you do all of them, then you are ready. You know all this chapter, right? If you do all of them, then you know all the chapter. All right, I give you like, some good, let's say some good 10 minutes. All right, so one last minute. All right, so somebody tell me, okay, the first one, factor the GCF. Somebody tell me, what is a GCF?
Is it 2x 3 squared but y2?
Okay, you said 2 for the
2.
numbers.
Uh-huh. X and
X.
y?
X, what power on the X?
3.
X to the third and Y to what power?
Second power.
Okay, so
What? Okay.
we said that's a GCF. Okay, let's check together. For the numbers 12, 8, and 16, what is the biggest number we can fit in there? Is it 2?
4.
No, 4.
4.
Yeah.
Ah.
You see, the 4 is a bigger number that goes, 4 goes evenly into 16. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. For the variable X, do you remember the rule? What power we have to put on the GCF?
The smallest.
Smallest.
What is the smallest power of the X's?
X squared.
X2. X2, right? Is this one right here. So for the Y,
Just y.
just Y, because Y to the power 1 right here, right? That's why. So the GCF is 4x squared Y. And then we open up the parentheses. Okay, somebody tell me, how much we get when you do the divisions?
3xy.
You see, 12 divided by 4 is 3. X cubed divided by x squared is x. And y squared divided by y is y. Minus, you do the same here. 4x squared y. So how much you get?
2.
2.
Y to the third.
Exactly. The x is gone. You see the x squared cancel out. Plus 16 divided by what? 4x squared y. So how much you get?
4x
4x.
4x to what power?
3.
To the third, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That is the GCF. Okay, now somebody tell me the grouping. What you do first? These two together. What is the GCF here?
X squared.
X squared, right? You get x squared parentheses. How much left inside the parentheses?
2.
X minus what?
3.
Minus 3. And these two, what is the GCF?
5.
5. How much left?
X minus 3.
Exactly. So now what's going to be the final answer then?
It would be x minus 3 and x squared minus 5.
Thank you. Plus 5, right? Thank you.
Oh yeah, plus 5, sorry.
The next one, number 3. How we factor the number 3?
I got x plus 3 and x minus 9.
Exactly, x plus 3, x minus 9. They add up to -6, they multiply to -27. X plus 3, x minus 9. Thank you. Number 4, how's this one factors out?
X plus 7, X minus 7, both in
Thank
parentheses.
you. Yep, x plus 7, x minus 7. Because this is difference of 2 squares. This is x squared and you minus 7 squared. Exactly. The last one, number 5. What you did first?
Found the
The
GCF.
GCF. How much is the GCF?
6.
6. Parentheses. How much left inside the parentheses?
2x.
Or 4x? No,
4x.
before we do the final
4x
before we do the final answer. 4x squared minus what?
1.
Minus 1. Okay, now we're going to take care of the parentheses.
Mm.
This is a square of what?
2.
2x. And this is square of 1. So what's going to be the very, very final answer? 6 parentheses.
2x plus 1. 2x minus 1.
Thank you. These are the 5 prototypes of problems you're going to have in this topic. These are the 5 ones, right? On the exams, on the tests, you're going to see one of them, right? Okay. This closing now, if you find yourself that, okay, I don't know how to do the number 1, then you need tutoring, okay? I don't know, I have doubt how to do number 2, you need tutoring. I don't know exactly how to do number 3, you need tutoring, etc., right? If you know how to do all of them with no hesitation, then you are ready, okay? So now we're gonna, the last section, which is very, very important, is 4.5, I think, or 4.6. Is it 4.6?
Yeah, because we just did 4.5.
Yeah, 4.6 is gonna be solving equations by factoring. Solving equations by factoring. Okay, at first, when you multiply 2 numbers, right? You multiply 2 numbers and you get 0. What it means? Logically, what is a logical deduction from that? You multiply 2 numbers, you get 0. What that means?
0.
It means, can we have 0 from two numbers that are not 0? Is that possible?
Wait, say that again.
When you multiply 2 numbers and you get 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
Logically, it means what?
That is 0.
One of the numbers is 0.
Exactly. Thank you. At least one of them has to be 0, right? If both are not 0, there is no way to get 0. If you multiply 7 by 4, there is no way to get 0, right? Okay. You see, if I say 5x, 5a equals 0, I know 5 is not 0. It means what? Then a has to be what?
0.
A has to be 0. If not, then it's not possible. This is what I'm going to write. If a times b equals 0, right, then at least one of them is 0. Then a equals 0 or b equals 0, right? This is what means at least one of them is 0. If you put and going to be too strong. We don't need and, we need or, either or, right? They both can be zeros. They both can be zeros, but if one of them is 0, it is enough, right? Okay, so for instance, from that, if I have this, you see, if I have this, right? If I have this, it means what? I'm multiplying 2 parentheses, I get 0. It means at least one of the parentheses has to be
0.
0. Everybody sees the logic of it? I'm multiplying two parentheses, one block, two blocks, one block, multiply another block, I get 0. It means at least one of the blocks is 0. How we write that? It means here x minus 4 equals 0 or x plus 5 equals 0. This split we are doing is only possible if you have 0 on the other side. This split you see I'm doing is only doable if it is 0 on the other side. If it is another number on the other side, then you cannot do it that way, okay? Only 0, okay? Again, I repeat that. We can split this way. We can say, we can set each one of them to 0 and solve only if you have 0 on the other side, right? Now look, x minus 4 equals 0. How we get 0? How we get x by itself? What you have to do? Add what number? Add 4, right? So we get x equal what?
0.
No, 0 plus 4 is what? Is 4, right?
X equals 4.
And this one, how we get x by itself? The one on the right side. What we do?
You minus 5 from each side.
Minus 5 on both sides. So we get x equal what? Negative
5.
5. So we have two solutions, right? Okay, so we have two solutions. Again, this split we are doing, this split is only possible if you have 0 on the other side, right? Okay, let's do another one. Let's do solve, right? Okay, again, what do I have on the right side?
0.
I have 0. Since on the right side I have 0, and since here I have a multiplication here, I have the right to say this is only possible if either one of the either or equal to 0, right? Okay. If I have 0 on the right side, or let's say on one side, I have 0 on one side, and then I have my two parentheses like that. How to solve this? I'm going to set each parenthesis to 0 and solve. Okay? Do you agree on that? We're going to set each parenthesis to 0, and then we're going to solve for x. So this means 2x minus 1 equals 0, or 3x plus 18 equals 0.
Okay.
Okay? And now you do whatever you need to do to get x by itself. Here, I'm confident all of you know how to get x by itself. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's going to take 2 steps, a couple of steps, right? The first step, the first one, what we need to do first? The first equation. We need to add
1 to both sides.
1.
You get 2x equals 1. And then what you do next?
You divide it by 2.
Thank you very much. So you get x equals 1/2, right? That is absolutely right. And the other one, what you do first?
Minus.
Minus 18 on both sides, right? You get 3x equal to negative 18. And then what you do next? Divide by
3.
Divide by 3. So we get x equal to negative 6.
Negative 6.
Right? So these, you see, and I don't think the equation is going to be always set up this way. This is the easy version, okay? So, but since we are beginning, we're going to do equations that are already factored. So solve 7x times 2x minus 3 equals 0. You're going to set each parenthesis to what? I mean, each product, you're going to set it to
0.
Each factor, you're going to set it to 0, right? Okay. Now, here, even though it is not like very complicated, people messed up this one. If you set up 7x equals 0, right? When you do 7x equals 0, how much x is going to be equal to?
0.
Okay, I'm glad you said 0. Don't say 7, right? You see? Don't say 7. 7 here, by the way, this 7 does not matter at all. If it was 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever number it was, it's going to be always x equals 0, right? Or 2x minus 3 equals 0. So now you solve here. Now I know you know how to solve it, so I'm going to do it fast. 2x equals 3, and then you divide by 2, so you get x equals 3 halves, right? So I have two solutions. Here, when you divide by 7, you get 0. X equals 0, right? The 7 does not play at all. X equals 0 or x equals 3 halves, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was saying, don't think it's going to be given like that. It's not. What is the general form? That's you're probably going to see on the test. You're going to see something like that. Solve x squared plus 5x, right, equal, let's say, equals negative 6. You see, you're going to see something similar to that, probably. You see the big difference between this example and these ones right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
All of these right here, they're already factored, right? This one is not factored yet. We even don't have 0 on one side yet, right? So what's going to be our first task? What you going to do first? What you going to try to do first? You're going to try to get what first?
The GCF.
No, the GCF, we're going to come to that after. But at first, you see all of them, all of these equations, the 3 of them we did, all these examples, we had 0 on one side, right?
You're going to add 6 to both sides?
Exactly. Here, we even don't have 0 on one side. We have to do that. The first step you have to do, if you don't have 0 on one side, you have to get 0 on one side. So the first, get 0 on one side. Okay? Doesn't matter which side, right side, left side, doesn't matter. You have to have 0 on one side. Now, what is easier to do? Is it easier to bring everybody to the right side or easier to bring everybody to the left side?
Left.
Left side, thank you. For that, we just do what you told me. Just add 6 on
Both sides.
both sides. You get x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Okay, now I have 0 on one side. This is good. But what I don't have yet, I don't have it factored, right?
Right.
Now I have to factor. You see? And that's going to be the main step. The second step is to factor. That is why we call this solving by factoring, right? Solving by factoring. That is the reason why we call it that, solving by factoring. Now, what you're going to do now, you're going to go through your toolbox, right? Are you going to see which tool you will have to use to factor this stuff on the left side? See, nobody gonna say something to you. There's no hint, no nothing. You have to decide what tool I have to use to factor this. How I'm gonna factor the x squared plus 5x plus 3. I mean plus 6. How are you gonna factor this? How are you gonna factor this? Someone
X
has
plus 3,
someone
x
has
plus 2.
exactly. Thank you. You just said x plus 3, x plus 2, right? You looked for two numbers. You add them, you get 5, and you multiply them, you get 6, right? Exactly. Thank you. So we get x plus 3, x plus 2. You see? Only now my example looks like the one we did. You see? Only now. Now it does look like the one we already did. You see? Now I can go ahead and proceed. What's going to be the next step?
X plus 3 equals 0.
X plus 3 equals 0, or
x plus 2 equals 0.
Yep. Which means x equal negative 3 or x equal negative 2. You see that, everybody?
Yep.
All right. So now we're gonna do together one more, and then I give you the other one to do by yourself, right? So solve. Um, 9x cubed equal to 27x squared. All right. So again, we don't skip no steps. We still have to do the steps as we said. First, we need to have 0 on one side, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see, in this case, I have one term on the left side, one term on the right side, right? So the effort will be the same effort. But what would you prefer? To bring over the 27x squared to the left, or the other way around? What would you prefer?
Bring it over to the left.
Thank you. I would do the same. For no reason, by the way. Just doing, almost for no reason. Negative 27x squared minus 27x squared. By the way, these two on the left side now, they are not like terms.
Right.
You see, they don't mix, they don't merge.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot become a single term because they are not like terms. What's it going to be? It's going to be 9x cubed minus 27x squared, right?
Mm-hmm.
Equal to 0. Now, what is my next step now?
9x squared.
How we call that? We call that step number 2, which is factoring, right?
Yes.
Now we have to factor.
Yes.
Again, you will have no hint how to factor this one. You will have to see what I do to factor this one. What do you think? What you do? What do you think you're gonna do? You're gonna
Squared.
you see, I mean, somebody forgot what we just said before in the first hour. We just said every time you have something to factor, what do you think about first?
GCF.
GCF, until the GCF doesn't work, right?
Yes.
You see, we haven't thought about the GCF because this one obviously the GCF is 1 right here, x squared plus 5x plus 6, right? That is the reason why we haven't thought about it. But here, the GCF is not 1, right? What is the GCF here?
3.
9.
3 is 9 what?
9.
9 what? X what?
9x squared.
Thank you, 9x squared. And we divide by 9x squared. We divide by 9x squared, how much we get?
X minus 3.
X minus 3, thank you, equals 0. You see? You see now, everybody?
Yep.
So I have 9x squared equals 0, or x minus 3 equals 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one, when I divide by 9, I get x squared equals 0, which means x equals 0, right? The only number we square we get 0 is itself. Plus 3 here, plus 3, we get x equals 3.
Where did you get the 9x squared to 2? Because
9x to the second power?
yeah, where'd you get
Because
that?
it is a GCF. You see, if you have the two numbers, 9 and 27, right?
Uh-huh.
What is the biggest number that you can
27.
divide 9 by and 27 by?
Well, you're
9,
supposed
right?
to use the smallest exponent. Okay.
No, that's the exponent. That's the exponent's part.
Okay.
X squared, you see x squared, why we put the square, why we put 2 instead of 3? Because 3 is the smallest.
Right. I got it. Sorry.
All right, so these are a few examples of solving by factoring. If you don't have 0, you have to manage to have 0 on one side, okay, if you don't have 0. And then you have to factor, right? After you factor, then you solve. So the main step is factoring. What happens when somebody does not know how to factor the example? They get stuck.
You get lost.
As simple as that, you get stuck. If you don't factor, then you get stuck, right? So I mean, this is very, very related to the factoring thing. It's very related, but I think you're going to be able to do it. So now let me give you some examples from the book right here. Some from the book. Solve by factoring, right? Solve by factoring, we're going to do the same thing. K minus 7, K plus 2. I mean, in the book, they like to have some other names for the variables, okay? But I even don't like that. You see, the first two ones, you already have 0, everything is factored. The next ones, you don't have 0, and they are not factored yet, right? All right, so you have 4 of them like this. Everybody try to do that. I want it for about 10 minutes.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and fix them, and then we're gonna. Or let me finish like a couple of more minutes, and then we're gonna fix them and then go to break. Okay. All right, okay, so, okay, the first two ones, you know, as you can see, they are, you know, a better setup, right?
Mhm.
So what you gonna do for the first one? Who go first? First one.
Go and add 7 to both sides.
Okay, before that, what you do? Before adding 7 on both sides, what you have to do first? You have to,
Oh, make them equal to 0.
exactly. K minus 7 equals 0 or
K
K
plus
plus 2,
uh-huh.
0.
Okay,
Right.
exactly. You see that you know that word or, so it's very important. Okay, it's not like if you put and, it's mess up everything. You have to put or. Okay. Okay, then and he said add 7 on both sides, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you get x k equal how much?
7.
And on the other one, what you do?
Subtract.
Subtract.
Subtract 2. K equals -2.
2. Well, I just
Thank
said
you.
2.
So we have two solutions: k equals 7 or k equals, right? Okay. So the next one on the right, you see that one we have 0. Does it matter if the 0 is on the right side or on the left side? Does it matter really?
No.
No.
It does not, right? We just happy we have 0. Okay. So what's gonna do then?
2x plus 5 equals 0.
2x plus 5 equals 0,
Or x minus 7 equals 0.
or x minus 7 equals 0, right? And here, what you do here?
Minus 5.
Minus 5, you get 2x equal -5, and then what is the very last step?
You divide.
Divide by 2, divide by 2. So you get x equal to -5 over 2. And this one, of course, you just want to add 7, and that's it. Okay, now the two ones now. These two. Okay, we don't have 0 on one side. We have to do something to get 0 on one side. What do you think? What should do with the first one?
So you plus 5 on both sides.
Add 5.
Add 5 on both sides. We get x squared minus 5x plus 4. Minus 5x plus 4 equals 0, right? Okay, so now. Okay, can you mute yourself a little bit? I don't know who. Okay, can you mute yourself a little bit? I don't know who. Okay. All right, thank you. Okay. So. Now, sir.
Honestly, I think that's Teams. That was happening to us in our meeting today at work. I really think that's Teams.
It's Teams, you think? It's Teams? It's Teams, you think? It's Teams? So if everybody go ahead and mute their mics, so what's going to happen? Okay. All right. So we're going to do that. So, and then we're going to go to break after that. Okay. So, okay. The first one. Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I need some people to tell me what they did. For the next one right here, somebody tell me, how we factor this one? X squared minus 5x plus 4. How you factor this one?
Minus 4 on both sides?
Get x minus 4, x minus 1.
Exactly.
Parentheses.
We already have, you see, we already have plus 4. We don't move the 4 on the other side. Then we will lose what we already got. We already got 0 on one side. We are content with that. And you just said you have to factor this. You just said x minus 4, x minus 1, right? Thank you. Those two numbers that add up to 4, I mean, add up to -5, multiply to 4, x minus 1, x minus 4. All right? And then okay, what's next then? You're gonna?
Then you do x minus 1 equals 0.
Uh-huh.
Or x minus 4 equals 0.
Thank you. You get x equal 1 or x equal 4. Thanks. Okay, that was the last one. What you did?
So I added 3b on both sides.
Uh-huh.
And then I looked for the greatest common factor.
Yep. So you got
which was B.
only B. I agree with you. It's only B, right?
Yes.
So
And
we
then
say
in parentheses, it would be 2B plus 3.
2B plus 3.
And
Exactly.
then
That
I
is
did
right.
equals 0.
So now what you're gonna set each one of them to 0, right?
Yeah. So
Set
B would equal 0.
or
Or 2B plus 3 equals 0.
that is right. Okay, so we get
And then B
B
would,
equals 0 is done. And then the other one, how much is
then
B?
B would equals negative 3 half.
Exactly. Thank you. That is absolutely right. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some problems here, and then we're gonna go to break, right?
Can I see your second example, please? I didn't
The
see
second,
the second one.
the second one,
Yes.
that one right here.
Yes, I need to rewrite it. I think I wrote it wrong. That's why I got it wrong.
Okay, okay.
All right. Thank you. I'm good now. Thanks.
So I'm gonna put some problems here, and then we're gonna go to break, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly what I did.
You see, that one is the most complete problem of all this. That one I'm about to write.
Mhm.
That one is really, really complete in the terms. It involves all the steps, right? This one, it involves distribution, it involves this and that. But we're gonna go to break, right? About 10 minutes, and then we're gonna come back. Thank you. Hi, everybody. So I think I've been like 10 minutes. Okay, it was a break. Like, why not I give you like 5 more minutes, to think about these two problems, right? To work on these two problems. 5 more minutes, everybody. Okay, so now we can go ahead and okay, who's gonna give us the first steps? I mean the steps for the first one, please. Are you guys here?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, everybody's here. All right. Okay.
I just need help with that one, so.
Yeah, I need help too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. So at first, we all understand we need to have 0 on one side, right?
Yes.
So we subtract 6k. We subtract 6k, right? We add 7. We add 7. So what you get? We get 4k squared, right? Plus 12k minus 16 equals 0, right? We agree with that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Now comes the factoring now. You see here, we don't go fast. We don't say, I'm looking for 2 numbers, etc., because we have a number in front of the k square, right?
Mm-hmm.
But remember, if you want to factor, remember what we said. Always think about what?
The greatest common factor.
Yeah.
Exactly. What is the greatest common factor here?
4.
It is 4. The 4 parentheses is going to be, you divide everybody by 4.
Mm-hmm.
Will be k squared plus 3k minus 4 equals 0, right? Do you see now you can factor the inside now, the parentheses now? Do you see everybody?
Mm-hmm.
How I factor my new parentheses now?
4 k minus 1.
K minus 1 and?
K plus 4.
Thank you, equals 0. Okay, now comes the steps. The only difference between this example and the other one is we have 4 in front. But the 4 doesn't really play any role here. I don't think it does play any role. Look, what happens when you divide each side by 4? What happens when you divide the left side by 4 and the right side by 4? The 4 is gone, right?
Yeah.
What is 0 divided by 4? It's still what?
0.
Still 0, right? If you have a number that is clearly not equal to 0, clearly that number is not equal to 0, then you can go ahead and dismiss that number. Okay? As a factor, I'm saying as a factor, no, not if it is plus or minus, no. As a factor, if you have a number that is in front of the parentheses, all the parentheses, you have a number in front of that, and that number is not 0, that number will not play no role, right? So now you see now the next step now, you have set k minus 1 equals 0, or k plus 4 equal to 0. So you get k equals 1, or k is equal to negative 4.
Where does the k minus 1, where does the minus 1 come from?
Yeah, because if we want to factor this expression right here, right?
Right.
We said we're looking for a couple of numbers. When you add them up, you have to have positive 3. And when you multiply them, you have to have negative 4. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at them, they need to multiply to negative 4 and they need to add up to positive 3. Right? What are they? Somebody told me 4 and negative 1. What is 4 times 1? I mean, what is 4 times negative 1? Negative 4, right?
Yeah.
What is 4 plus negative 1? Positive 3, you see?
Right. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, the next one will be way lengthier because the next one, first of all, first and foremost, we have to break down the parentheses, right? We have to distribute. Everybody, okay? We have to distribute group-like terms Get everybody on the same side. Get a 0 on one side. You see the steps? Distribute, group like terms, and then get everybody on the same side. Okay, let's distribute. How much is that? The first distribution. 5x times 3x is what? 15
squared.
squared. Minus what? 30 x minus 5x squared, right? Equal to x squared plus 6x plus 45. Before I take care of the left side, I mean on the right side, let me take care of the left side first. Can I group some terms here on the left side?
Yes.
Exactly. 15x squared minus 5x squared, right? How much it gives me?
10x squared.
10x squared. Thank you. Minus 30x is equal to x squared plus 6x plus 45. Now I can go ahead and group everybody to the same side. Let's put all of them to the left side, right? As we did before. So we're going to subtract x squared on both sides. We're going to subtract 6x on both sides. And we're going to subtract 45 on both sides. This is gone right here, they're all gone. So we get 9x squared minus 36x minus 45 equal to 0.
Yep.
And I think you know what to do from here, right? You see, we're going to do the same thing here. How about I let you like a couple of minutes to do this one? From here, how to continue?
On the greatest common factor.
Exactly, thank you.
9.
Aiden, you see it?
All right. What is the first step you're going to do?
Find the greatest common factor.
Which happens to be what?
9.
Exactly 9, right? Which happens to be 9. So we get 9 parentheses x squared minus what?
4x.
Minus 4x minus
5.
5.
Exactly. Thank you. Then we're gonna, what we said about 9, can we just go ahead and dismiss the 9? Because the 9 is not equal to 0, right? We're just gonna go ahead and dismiss the 9, okay? It will not play no role here. Why? Because 9 is not 0 for sure, right? So 9 can go, okay? But you only do it when you have 9 times something, right? If you have 9 plus x squared is equal to 0. Can you say, okay, let's dismiss 9? Can you say that?
Yes.
You cannot, because it's not. It is a plus here. You cannot just go ahead and forget 9. You cannot go ahead and just say, okay,
You
let's
have to
forget.
subtract 9.
Exactly. You see, so this is different. What we said here is when you divide by 9 on both sides, the 0 will be still 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the 9 is gone. This is what you said.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Now, how are you gonna factor this parenthesis now? What are the two numbers?
X plus 1, x minus 5.
X plus 1, x minus 5. Thank you. That is correct.
Yeah.
And then it's going to give me x plus 1 equals 0, or x minus 5 equals 0, which is x equal negative 1 or x equal 5, right?
Yeah.
So we have done the example where we have the most steps here
Mm-hmm.
in this in this topic. We done the example where we have the most steps. All right. How about just one last one, and then we're gonna close this. Okay. The numbers are very last example in this topic. The very last one. Let's do one last one, and then we can close. That is example number 30. Okay, let's do this one. All right. Okay, so can somebody walk us through the steps, please? What do you think? What you gonna do first?
Minus 8W plus 6.
Minus 8W minus 8W plus 6 plus 6. I hope everybody did that. Right? At least, you know, when you do that, you're gonna get, you know, at least you're gonna get like 1 point or 2, right? So we get 121 W squared. The W's go. Fortunately, they cancel on the left side, they cancel on the right side. Minus 1 equals 0.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. So now, don't tell me you got stuck right here.
I did actually.
So we have to factor this stuff right here, right?
Mhm.
Okay. How many terms do you have here? How many terms you have on the left side? How many terms?
2.
Two
Two.
terms. Remember when we said at the beginning of the class, we said if you have 2 terms, what comes to your mind? If you want to factor, what tool you going to use? Look at all the numbers, that figure here. All of them, they are what? Everybody is a perfect square, right? 121 is a perfect square. Actually, it is a square of what number?
8.
121 is a square of
1.
11.
11, right? 11 square is 121,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And 1 is the square of 1, of course. So you see here, if that don't come to your mind, there is no way you're going to factor this. The only way that you're going to factor this if that comes to your mind. You say here, you say parentheses 11W, okay, square, that is the square of this, minus this is 1 square, right? We say this is difference of 2 squares. It's going to be, okay, now that you know, now that you see this, how are you going to factor this then?
Okay.
Add 7 of both sides.
Now, how are you going to factor this now? Now you see that it is a difference of 2 squares. What's going to be factoring there?
1 over 11. W 1 over 11. Is that?
We're not going to the solving yet. I just wanted the factoring. What is the factoring step?
W minus.
You say, okay. Let me ask you this. You have x squared minus 9, right? You say x squared is a square of x, and 9 is a square of 3. How are you going to factor this?
Distribute.
Did you put the x plus 3, x minus 3?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, forget that. It's the same thing. What's it going to be then?
That.
11W minus 1.
Right. Oh.
11W plus 1, right?
Plus 1. Right.
Okay, everybody?
Yes.
11W minus 1, 11. Please, this one right here, you see the difference of 2 squares. The difference of 2 squares is a problem when it comes when the test comes and you don't remember about it. There is no other way you can get it back.
Okay.
You see, if you don't remember about it, you're gonna get stuck. Period.
Okay.
That is why every time you have. Okay, so I think somebody need to. That's Jordan, right? Yeah. Okay, Jordan, you have a question? And where you at? You have some interferences where you at. That is why, you know. But if you have a question, you always can ask the question. Okay. All right. So right here, I was saying, if you forget how to, or if you don't think about it, how to factor this type of stuff, basically you're gonna get stuck. Doesn't matter how simple it is. In in the next test, if you see that, if you see a factor x squared minus 81, if you see something like that, if your mind does not go to a plus b, a minus b, if your mind does not go there, there's no way you're going to do it. If your mind goes there, it becomes very simple. You see? So basically, it is either very simple or either very hard to do, right? You know, and you know, I always tell the students, any problem in math where you don't have steps is good for one thing and bad for one thing. If you don't have steps, it's good because it's usually simple. If you don't have steps, it's bad because if you get stuck, there is no thing you can do to remember because there is no steps. You see. So that is why when comes the day of the test, or you know, prior to the day of the test, you have to make sure to remember how to factor this kind of expressions. You see. You see, now we're almost done here. Now you're going to set each parenthesis to 0. 11w minus 1 equals 0. 11w plus 1 equals 0, right? And now you're going to add 1, so you get 11w equal to positive 1, and then you divide by 11, right?
Right.
So you get w equal 1 over 11. Here you subtract 1, so you get 11w equal to negative 1, so you divide by 11, right? And that's it. All right?
Yeah.
This concludes the algebra part of our class. You see, we did 4 chapters in which we did some algebra stuff. We did lines, right? That was chapter 1, lines. So chapter 2 was, what was it? Systems, right? System of equations, inequalities. This is still lines, okay? Linear algebra. Chapter 3 was exponent, right? Chapter 4 was polynomials, right?
Yes.
And then this concludes chapter 4. Now, chapter 5 and chapter 6, they are completely different part of mathematics. It is like statistics, okay? Calculation-wise, it is easier, calculation-wise, because it's not algebra. But at the same time, you have to like the stuff, okay? You have to like what you're about to learn, okay? It is like simple statistics, okay? You have to like it. It's not hard calculation-wise, you know. I mean, you all know what is a mean, what is a median, what is that, etc. This kind of stuff. It's not mathematically, it's not hard to do, but we have to like it first. We have to say, okay, I'm willing to try to understand this stuff, okay? So that is what we're going to do in the next, you know, classes. It's going to be all statistics, right? And what is statistic? Statistic is, you know, the science of the data, right? You know, how we learn data, how we interpret data, how we understand data, how we represent data, etc. That is statistics, okay? Yeah, I mean, so it is part of math because it uses a lot of math. Statistics uses a lot of math, especially if you are in advanced statistics. It uses a lot of math, okay? So, and nowadays, all of us, we have like plenty of statistics in our lives. Everything is statistics. Every time you see 50% of the people do this, 35% of the people do this all statistics, right? And decisions are made because of statistics. You know, politicians or those people who make decisions, they make decisions based on some statistics. This is to tell you how important it is. You know, somebody going to decide something very important that's going to affect your life, basically. And they're going to base the decision solely on statistics, okay? They're going to say, okay, we're going to do this. Why? Because 85% do this, you see, etc., etc. So that is why it is very, very, very important to understand the data. It's very important to understand, to give a meaning of some data, to collect data, you know, collect it, analyze it, represent it, analyze it, etc., etc. That is a statistic. Okay, so this is chapter 5. So statistics, I think. It says introduction. 5.1 is introduction. For chapter 5, let me see exactly what is the title of chapter 5. Chapter 5 is organizing data. That is chapter 5. Organizing data. Right? Chapter 5 is organizing data. 5.1 is an introduction to that, right? Of course, you know, we're just going to, for the introductions, the definitions, we're going to read through the book, right? You see, for instance, they tell you what is exactly statistics, right? So definition of statistics, I'm going to just copy from the book right here. You're going to see what they're saying. It was exactly what I was saying.
Are you there?
Did he get stuck?
I was wondering if anybody else was on here.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on.
But it was 5 signal. I'm like, oh my God.
I was looking, I was like, okay, I do see some people still in here.
He must have got kicked out or something.
Yeah, that same thing he was saying.
We'll see.
Oh, kick them out though.
Mm-hmm. Teams sure love kicking people out.
Yeah. It sucked. I don't even know.
It does it to me sometimes. I was happy it didn't do it today, but it be doing it to me all the time.
Wow. Get what you pay for, right?
I know, right?
But we figured out today in our meeting at work when we were using Teams, if somebody has their volume on their computer turned up, it causes the echo.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Because we had the same issue.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So what, it has to be down some?
Right. So IT hopped on and made everybody turn their volume down, and it corrected the solution.
Oh.
Oh yeah, he's definitely gone.
We can get back in.
Nope.
There you go.
Yeah.
Did he?
I thought that was him. I saw the
Me
H.
too. That's why I said there he go, but I guess not. Well, he's not on the list now, so he got kicked out.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Alrighty then. Do you guys take other classes this semester, or is this the only class y'all take?
So I'm doing communications right now with my teacher is Trevor, which is really, really cool.
Oh, okay.
How about you?
I'm doing psychology.
Oh, how is that?
It's cool. It's good. It's just that with that one, it's like it's fully like basically you do it on your own. It's not like how we do the virtual meet.
Uh-huh.
You just gotta make sure like you log on Brightspace and complete your assignments and quizzes and stuff. But it's not like we have to meet.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
thought this math class was. I thought it was just, we didn't have to meet. I just thought it was like you turn in your assignments when it was due. I was like, oh my God, that mean I gotta sit around.
Right. For my next semester, I do have to take another math class, but it's on my own pace. Basically, I have to do the work on
Yeah.
my own pace. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I thought
I
my
see.
own piece one.
Yeah.
I don't have to do another math class.
This is my only class that I have to really meet up with or anything like that. I mean, I just get my work and I turn it in by the end of the week.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I like it like that. Like,
Yeah, me too. Cause my psychology classes, we have to have everything in by that Sunday at 11:59 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
The following Sunday. So
it's up to you to do it, right?
next semester I will only be taking one class, so that would be good.
Yeah, I'm only doing one next semester, which is biology.
I'm doing
one statistics class next semester.
I'm doing biology too. I'm doing human anatomy and physiology.
Oh, I love that.
When I first came to CCDC, my first year, I think I took like, I want to say 6 classes.
Oh gosh.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
Bless you.
No, that was in one semester.
Girl, you were strong because I would have been.
I'm a psychology major. I want to get this stuff done.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
He's back. He's back.
Can't hear you.
And he's
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, I even didn't realize for almost like I don't know how long I was talking into the vacuum. I didn't realize it. I was so in my element. I even didn't realize, nothing. You see, that's.
Oh God.
I didn't realize it. I'm just kidding. I wasn't aware that the connection has long gone.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't aware of that. Okay,
it
so
to me sometimes it's annoying.
yeah, I mean those teams. I mean Zoom. You don't have that. You only like very, very. It's not very often you can have that on Zoom. I mean, I like Teams because after you're done doing your class, I like Teams because the recording, you can transfer, you can convert the recording like very quickly. That I like that from Teams. The Zoom, for instance, for 2 hours or 3 hours class, like ours, like not our class, after we're done, to convert the recording, it's going to be a long time to convert it. It's going to take a long time. But for Zoom, for Teams, it's done like very quickly. I like, but I don't like, just talking to myself like that for minutes without even realizing it.
Hey, us girls were conversating.
All right. So I was saying about, the type of data, qualitative data, quantitative data. We all understand, quantitative means quantities, right? Something like what is the height of people, what is the weight of people, etc., etc. That quantities, you see. Qualitative are those data that are not numerical, okay? For instance, what is the color of the car? What is the race? What is the gender, etc., etc. These are qualitative data. But can you give me example of data that are about numbers, but they are not qualitative? Can you give me some type of data like that? They numbers, right? But they are not quantitative.
They're data, but they're not quantitative.
I mean, they are numbers. They are numbers, right? The data, you see, they are numbers, but they are not quantities.
Like temperatures? Like a temperature?
I mean, temperature is a number. You see, It is a quantity. So a temperature, 75 degrees, 35 degrees, these are numbers. These are literally quantities. We can weight them, we can do some calculation with them. But there is some data in our life, they are comprised of numbers, they are like numbers, but they are not quantities actually. For instance, your student ID, you see, your student ID is a number, right? But that number is not a quantity, it's just a number. You see, it's just a label, right? What else, for instance? Social Security, right?
Yeah.
Social Security is a number, but it's not a quantity. It's just a label, right? For instance, car plate, the MVA plate. If you have a plate that say 1657, that plate is just a label, right? So we can have those type of quantities. So they are numbers, but they are not actually. So for instance, right here, if I give you this table right here, and then we're going to try to classify the data we have here.
Uh-oh.
Is he there again, or is he gone?
He's gone.
I said, uh-oh.
He's probably talking away too.
I know. Were we supposed to write this stuff down or something? Oh no.
I'm
I don't
actually,
even know what's going
Well,
on yet.
I'm writing it down. I'm not sure.
Cause I was gonna write it down, but I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I didn't even. I was just lost for a second.
Okay, so this time I realized it very quickly. So
Okay.
I didn't talk to myself. I realized it like very, very quickly. I was okay. So
Should we write this down?
so hold on. Okay, let me. Okay, that's the name. Okay, now can you see the stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the name, the variable name, is it qualitative data or quantitative? What do you think?
This quantity.
Quantitative.
Is qualitative, right? We don't do no calculation on it, right? The name, the gender. What do you think?
Qualitative.
Quantitative.
Qualitative, right? The gender, male, female. There is no calculation we can do. It's not like a number. These are not numbers, right?
Oh, you're saying it's qualitative.
Yeah, qualitative.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, gotcha. Okay.
Now, number of classes now.
Quantitative.
Quantitative.
That's quantitative.
Quantitative.
Exactly. Number of classes completed is quantitative. What do you think? Is this continuous or discrete?
Continues.
You see,
Number of classes.
between 4 and 10,
Complete.
between 4 and 10 is every single number can be represented, can be a data between 4 and 10. When I say every single number, don't only think about whole numbers. Every single number means 4.5, 4.3, 9.7, 6 point something. Can we have data like 4.5 in this stuff?
Yeah.
Can we say somebody completed 9.7 classes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that possible?
No, it's not possible.
No.
9.7 classes. I mean, you see, you are pursuing a degree. For instance, we want you to complete 15 classes, right? So you cannot say, okay, I have completed 13.3 classes, okay?
Yeah.
So
Right.
this is quantitative discrete because it does not take. So when I say every single value, a lot of people will think about the whole numbers, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, A continuous means something that can take every single value, even the decimal numbers, okay? That is a continuous, when it can take even the decimal numbers. Look at now the GPA. Of course, the GPA is quantitative, right?
Yeah.
And the GPA, of course, when you look at all the GPA of all students in at CCBC, I don't know how much is the minimum GPA possible. How much is the minimum GPA possible, right? Let's say 1.5 is, or 1 is a minimum GPA, 4.0 is a maximum GPA. I know every single value between 1 and 4 can be taken, right? If you look at like the 60,000 students, you know, at CCBC, for instance, if you look at all the GPAs, I am sure it is possible to have every single number between 1 and 4, even the decimal numbers. That is conceivable, right? So the GPA is quantitative continuous. Okay, the GPA here is quantitative, but it is continuous. All right. I was just talking about the student ID. Even though the ID is a number, but that number is not a real number, right?
Right.
Nobody will read the, I never heard somebody reading the student ID and saying 800,567,230, right? I never heard of that, okay? It's like your phone number, you know, your phone number. I never heard somebody telling me 443 million or something like that, right?
Right.
So that tells you that is not a real number. If it was a real number, you know, we would say 800 million. Because the real number, you know, but it's just a label. So the student ID is a qualitative data ID. Sometimes we also call them categorical data because they are just categories. All right. So, of course, after that, we have to learn how to represent them, you know, how to represent the data, etc., etc. So we have what you call the bar graph, right? You see, the good thing about statistics is, I think, you know, we have known. Okay, let me give you this one, and then you're going to tell me what type of data is that. So you're going to tell me what are the.
Did he go out again?
I think so.
I'm so confused right now. I am. I'm like, huh?
Oh, God.
We should just start this over tomorrow, next Tuesday.
This isn't helping because I'm like, I'm lost.
Yes, I say that classes adjourn early. Everybody go home.
I mean, I haven't even really written anything down, so I'm like,
Because I was lost in this chat now.
Okay, I think he's back.
We can't hear him though.
I don't know what the heck going on right now.
we cannot hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I think I was saying, I think I understand a little bit where the problem is. The problem comes from sharing the screen. Because I'm sharing my screen, what I realize is when I go to another window, this causes the connection to go out. I think, you know, it doesn't happen every time, but I think because maybe after 2 hours of class, Steam is tired of us, you know, and it's starting acting up, you see. But I think that is a problem. I think the sharing the screen is a problem. But, you know, thankfully, it didn't happen at the beginning, or it's going to be very annoying. Okay? Thankfully. So now, can you see now this right here? Can you see this one?
Yes.
Everybody, okay. Now, exactly what we did. Each variable serial name, you say if it is qualitative or quantitative. Serial brand, you tell if it is qualitative, quantitative, right? Etc. Etc. The 5 columns.
The
Quantitative for the serial name.
The serial name, you said it is
qualitative.
Qualitative.
Exactly, qualitative. Because this special case, Cheerios, etc., there is nothing, no calculation we can do about it. This is qualitative.
Qualitative.
These are not numbers, obviously. Cereal brand, what do you think?
Qualitative.
Exactly. Calories now, what do you think?
Quantitative.
Quantitative.
Is quantitative.
Continuous.
It is continuous, exactly.
Yeah.
Even though, look, even if the numbers are very nice, 110, 100, there's nothing shocking to say 110.5 calories, right? There's nothing shocking to say 97.87 calories, right? There's nothing shocking about that. It exists, it does exist. So this is quantitative continuous. Sugar per cup.
Quantitative continuous.
Sugar per cup is quantitative.
Continuous.
Continuous also.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look, what I said about calories, right? Okay. If it is not continuous, it means there is something about calories that I don't know. I don't do chemistry, right? So I don't know exactly what's that. Okay. But what I understand, calorie is some type of energy, right? I don't think the calories have just to be whole numbers. I don't think so. Okay. Now, if the calories, they just have to be whole numbers, then there is something about it I don't know, right? It is like calories about physics stuff, right? Physics and chemistry and stuff. But I think it is just a measure. Calorie is some measure of energy, right? Okay. So it's some measure, is a unit, some units. I don't think they have just to be whole numbers. I don't think so. Same thing, sugar per cup. What is, how much sugar per cup we have? 9 grams, 1 gram, even if the data is very nice, 9, 114, I think it could be, the weight of the sugar per gram, it could be 8.7 grams, right? It could be 1.6 grams. There's nothing shocking about that, of course. And the gluten-free, yes, no, of course, yes, no is qualitative, right? Yeah, yes, no is qualitative. Okay, so this is the first section. As you can see, this section is just to introduce you to the variable stuff, right? What is the data? What type of data is this, etc., etc. That is just the first thing, right? This is the first thing. Now we're gonna, of course, so we're gonna stop right here for today. But the next step will be what? The next step will be how to organize data, right? How to graph. You see, let me share my screen.
We see
so,
it.
You see my screen. The next step will be how to organize and how to graph categorical data, which means qualitative data, how to organize them. We're gonna see what we call the bar graph, you see? How to do this one. Okay. So I mean, everybody, I think nowadays we are so much into science. Very likely everywhere you go, you're going to go to your doctor, they're going to do some stuff, they're going to show you something like that, as if they will almost assume everybody knows how to read this, right? You see, for instance, we say espresso, the answer espresso was given how many times?
20.
Frequency 20. The answer soda was given how many times?
4 and
about 4, right? Etc. 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 You see, But we're gonna see what are the specific of the bar graph, what are the specifics of it. But I think everybody knows how to read the bar graphs like that. Okay, so we're gonna continue next week. But before we go, let's just check when it's gonna be our next quiz.
No.
November 16th, I think, next Tuesday.
The quiz is a good news because why is it good? Because it is take home quiz.
It's a what?
It's not supposed to be open book, but I mean, everybody gonna open their books. But you know, the next quiz is the 16th, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's gonna be the 16th next week. So basically, I'm gonna open it up just like the other quizzes. I'm gonna open it up on the Friday after class, and then you will have until I mean not Friday, it's Tuesday after class until Thursday noon to turn it on, to turn it up. Please don't miss it, right? Please, everybody, don't miss the quiz. And what's it gonna be? It's gonna cover what? It's gonna cover
everything.
Factoring. The quiz, quiz number 3, gonna be the last one. It's gonna cover factoring. Everything we haven't done in the test from there, like something x squared minus 5x, minus 36, something like that, right? Factoring.
So just chapter 4.
Yeah, chapter 4.
Sometimes you be throwing 2.4 in there, and be chapter 3 with a little bit as well too. I just want to make sure I'm studying right.
Or throw in there, the data right here, if it's qualitative, quantitative. You want me to do one of them right here? These problems?
No. If you staying in that factor, and that's fine. I'm cool with that.
Okay. 4 point. It starts from what? 4 I think 4.3, 4.4, and then 4.6. Right, factoring right here, x squared minus 81, 20x squared minus 5, something like that, right? And then solving equation by factoring. Basically, and that is going to be our quiz number 3. The last quiz. The last one.
Are there going to be any word problems on it?
No word problems for this quiz.
How many questions?
The quiz will be about 4 or 5 questions.
Just like last time, right?
Yeah, that's going to be the last quiz, but we will have a last test, right? But that's going to be the last quiz.
Okay.
All right, everybody. All right, so see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Al, I do have a question.
Yes, go ahead.